Hello, in this video for the Virtual Paleontologist website, we will be discussing the page on paleobotany, which is the study of fossilized and prehistoric plants. So basically, paleobotany is a paleontologist, but instead of studying fossilized bones, they study fossilized plants. So the first section that you see on the page is how plant fossils are preserved. So there are different ways that a fossil could be preserved. There are petrifications, molds and casts, authigenic mineralizations, fusion, and adappressions. So you'll need to know basically the general outlines of what these different types of fossilizations are, the different types of plants that can be fossilized in these ways, stuff along those lines. So I may ask you, a paleontologist or a paleobotanist finds a plant fossilized in a rock that seems like it has the same texture as it did when it was still alive, but it is a fossil. The answer would be that it is a fusion or fusian fossilization, because that is the property that is a property of fusian of fossilizations. Then you come down to the lectures on how different organisms fossilize. This will not be on the test, it's just for further information and interest. So then early plants, here all you'll need to know is how single cell organisms basically evolved into the huge and towering plants, how oxygen had to play a part in that, and just basically stuff like that. You won't really need to know the complicated names like Zosaurophilus of the plants that were back in the ancient times. Just they're basically the branches and families of them, like Brachyphytes, ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperms, and what types of plants are there and how they evolved. You will need to know more about the in-depth Mesozoic flora. So not really in-depth, but just basically what types of plants were around then, because I may ask you a question like, a paleontologist found an Ochroaceae plant in a Diplodocus. What time period did this Diplodocus live in? And if you studied, you'd know that that plant came from the Jurassic period, therefore knowing when this Diplodocus lived. So there may be one or two questions, or just one question about that on the test. So then you have different links to articles about paleobotany. So follow a paleobotanical expedition, that's more for personal interest. And then giant fungi. So here, some of this information will be on the test. You'll have to state your own opinion, so you'll need to know the arguments against or for why these huge fossils could be giant mushrooms. Yeah, so that you won't really need to know the dimensions or anything. Maybe one thing that you could note, however, is the Vernians fact. So how Jules Verne pictured these giant mushrooms, and many people believe that what Jules Verne said is true, so that what Vernians say. So then you have more on palynology, so that's basically the study of fossilized pollens and spores. Not much information on this will be on the test. You'll just really need to know what palynology is, how it's observed and found on different animals. So you'll find a spore on a different trilobite under a microscope, and then you can look at it and see what it says about the animal. So that's it with the paleobotany section. The next section, or sections that we will be covering, are the actual famous fossils and the famous fossils and museums. So 2 pages. Thank you.